The call from the void. The stars were silent witnesses as the exploration vessel Pathfinder drifted through the outer reaches of charted space. Captain Maya Chen stood on the observation deck, her reflection ghosting against the reinforced glass as she stared into the void. Behind her, the ship hummed with the quiet efficiency of human engineering, systems that alien observers had once called primitive, but which had carried humanity farther into the cosmos than anyone had expected. "Captain, we've picked up something unusual." The voice belonged to Dr. Elias Ward, the ship's xenolinguist. He appeared beside her, his tablet glowing with oscillating waveforms. "It's a signal, but nothing like we've encountered before." Maya turned, her dark eyes reflecting the light from his screen. "Source. That's the thing. It's coming from the Vorkan Rift." Elias's voice dropped. "Sector 9. Forbidden territory. The Vorkan Rift, a stretch of space that every known species avoided. Not just avoided, fled from. The galactic community had established clear boundaries around it, enforced with alarming unanimity by species that otherwise struggle to agree on anything." Maya took the tablet, studying the pulsing pattern. "Have you run it through analysis?" "3 times. It's definitely a distress signal, but the encoding is like nothing in our database. It's ancient, Captain, and it's crying for help." The bridge fell silent as Maya made her decision. The first contact protocols were clear. Investigate all signs of intelligent life, especially those in distress. But the warnings about Sector 9 were equally clear. Alert the crew. Set course for the Vorkan Rift. Within hours, Maya found herself facing down the Pathfinder's concerned senior officers. Commander Kai Okafor, her second-in-command, voiced what everyone was thinking. "The Arcturians explicitly warned us against entering Sector 9, Captain. They said no species returns from there." Maya nodded. "They did. They also refused to explain why. That's not good enough for me." "Maybe they had their reasons," suggested Dr. Lena Novak, the ship's exobiologist. Her fingers tapped nervously against her coffee mug. "Maybe," Maya conceded. "But there's something they're not telling us. This signal." She activated the holographic display at the center of the table, showing the strange wave patterns. "This is a cry for help. And what separates us from the rest of the galaxy is that we don't ignore those." The senior engineer, Raj Kapoor, leaned forward. "Whatever is out there has been broadcasting this signal for what appears to be thousands of years. The power source alone would be beyond our understanding. Which is why we're going to investigate," Maya said firmly. "If something that ancient and powerful needs help, I want to know why. And if it's a trap," she paused, looking each of them in the eye, "then humanity should know what's waiting for us out there." The journey to the Vorkan Rift took 17 days. 17 days of increasing sensor anomalies, equipment failures, and crew nightmares. By the 15th day, Dr. Novak reported that 60% of the crew were experiencing the same dream. Voices calling from darkness, begging to be freed. Maya had them too. She woke each night, sheets soaked with sweat, the echo of whispers still in her mind, but she pressed on. On the 17th day, they reached the edge of the rift. It wasn't what they expected. No dangerous stellar phenomena, no obvious threats, just a perfect sphere of darkness, roughly 8 kilometers in diameter, suspended in space. "It's absorbing all radiation," Raj reported, his voice tight with awe. "Light, radio waves, everything. It's like a hole in space itself." "And the signal?" Maya asked. "Coming from within," confirmed Elias. "But it's changed. It's addressing us specifically now." He played the new transmission through the bridge speakers. The sound made everyone flinch, a rhythmic pattern that felt like it was bypassing their ears and speaking directly to their brains. "Translation?" Maya asked, fighting the instinct to cover her ears. Elias's hand shook slightly as he worked his console. "It's using fragments of every language in our database to construct a message. It's saying, 'Humans, at last, enter.'" The bridge fell silent. Maya felt a chill run down her spine, but kept her expression neutral for the sake of her crew. "Prepare a probe," she ordered. "Full sensor package." They launched 3 probes. None returned data. They simply vanished upon entering the dark sphere. "Captain," Kai said quietly, "we should report back to Earth before proceeding." Maya considered this, then shook her head. "Communications have been out since we entered the rift. We're on our own." She straightened her uniform. "Prepare a shuttle. I'll lead the away team." Despite protests, Maya assembled her team. Herself, Elias, Lena, and 2 security officers, Diaz and Wong. As they boarded the shuttle, Raj handed Maya a device. "It's a quantum entanglement beacon," he explained. "If communications aren't possible, this might cut through whatever interference is out there. 1 pulse means you're okay. 2 means you need extraction. 3 means destroy the sphere at all costs." Maya nodded, securing the device to her belt. "Keep the ship at safe distance, Commander Okafor. If we're not back in 6 hours, leave." The shuttle journey was brief and silent. As they crossed the boundary into the sphere, the shuttle systems flickered momentarily before stabilizing. Inside the sphere was nothing like the empty void they expected. A massive structure hung suspended in the darkness, an intricate lattice of metal and crystal that formed a spherical shell around a pulsing core of light. It resembled no known architecture, alien or human. It felt wrong somehow, as if it existed partially in dimensions they couldn't perceive. "It's a ship," Elias whispered. "No, a station. Or a prison." As they approached, an opening appeared in the lattice as if the structure was inviting them in. With no other obvious option, Maya directed the shuttle through the gap. They docked at what appeared to be an airlock. Atmosphere readings came back as breathable, though the composition was unusual, rich in trace elements not commonly found in habitable environments. "Full environmental suits," Maya ordered. "We take no chances." They stepped into the structure and immediately felt its alienness. The corridors seemed to shift subtly when not directly observed. Gravity fluctuated in ways that made them dizzy. And always there was the signal, now a pulsing sensation they could feel in their bones. "This way," Elias said, following readings on his scanner. "The signal source is getting stronger." They moved deeper into the structure, passing chambers filled with strange machinery and empty rooms that seemed designed for beings with very different physiologies than their own. "These markings," Lena said, studying symbols etched into the walls. "They're biological warnings. I'm seeing the same danger patterns that exist across dozens of species." "Warning about what?" Maya asked. Before Lena could answer, they entered a vast central chamber. At its center floated a column of light, pulsing with the same rhythm as the signal. Around the column were hundreds of transparent pods, each containing what appeared to be a different alien species, some humanoid, others utterly foreign in design. "Are they alive?" Wong asked, moving closer to one of the pods. In a manner of speaking, came a voice from everywhere and nowhere at once. It spoke perfect English, but with an unsettling resonance that made their teeth ache. "They exist as I need them to exist." Maya stepped forward. "Identify yourself." The column of light pulsed brighter. "I have had many names across many eons. The Arcturians once called me World Eater. Others named me the Void Shepherd. The Ancient Ones knew me as that which waits between. You may call me the Collector." "You sent the distress signal," Maya said. It wasn't a question. "I send many signals," the entity replied. "Few are brave enough, or foolish enough, to answer. But humans always come when called. So predictable in your compassion, so useful in your recklessness." Maya's hand moved to the quantum beacon on her belt. "These beings in the pods, are they your prisoners?" "They are my library," the Collector corrected. "Each represents the final remnants of a civilization that once flourished. I preserve what would otherwise be lost." "Against their will," Lena said, her scanner showing signs of neural activity in the nearest pod. an eternally preserved consciousness trapped in suspension. Will is such a limited concept. The entity dismissed. What matters is continuation. These species faced extinction. By their own hands, by natural disaster, by war. I offered them eternity. As samples, Maya said coldly. As specimens. As the saved, the collector countered. And now you have come. Representatives of the most fascinating species I have encountered in millennia. Humans. So fragile yet so resilient. So primitive yet so innovative. The perfect addition to my collection. The chamber darkened suddenly, and the pods began to glow brighter. Maya felt a pressure in her mind, gentle at first, then increasingly insistent. Beside her, Wang dropped to his knees, clutching his helmet. "Captain," he gasped, "something's in my head." Maya slammed her hand down on the quantum beacon, sending one pulse back to the Pathfinder. "We're okay. For now." "You resist," the collector observed, sounding almost pleased. "Good. The ones who fight provide the most complete data sets." Maya steadied herself against the mounting pressure in her skull. "We didn't come here to be collected. We came because we thought someone needed help. And someone does," the entity replied. "Me. I need your help to complete my work, to preserve what must be preserved before the coming darkness." "What darkness?" Elias managed to ask, though he too was struggling to remain standing. "The one that has already consumed half of this galaxy in cycles past. The one that erases not just life, but the memory that life ever existed. I am the only safeguard, the only memory keeper." Maya looked around at the trapped consciousnesses, hundreds of species, possibly the last of their kind, preserved against their will for what this entity claimed was a greater purpose. "There are better ways to preserve," she said firmly, "ways that don't require imprisonment." "Your alternatives would be insufficient," the collector stated, "but your perspective will be cataloged along with the rest of your species' attributes." That's when Maya understood. The signal hadn't been a call for help. It had been a lure. And humanity, with its instinct to assist the vulnerable, had been the perfect target. "We're not staying," Maya declared, backing toward the chamber entrance. "And we're not becoming part of your collection." The pressure in her mind intensified painfully. "You misunderstand, Captain Chen. You are already mine. From the moment you entered this sphere, your neural patterns began uploading to my systems. Your bodies are irrelevant, though they will be preserved as a courtesy." Around them, new pods began to form, human-sized, rising from the floor like growing crystals. Maya's vision blurred as the mental assault strengthened. Through the haze of pain, she saw her crew members beginning to collapse one by one. Only she remained standing, fighting against the invisible force with everything she had. "Humans," she gasped through gritted teeth, "don't surrender easily." And with that, she slammed her hand down on the quantum beacon a second time. "2 pulses. We need extraction." The collector's voice turned cold. "No one has ever escaped my collection, Captain. Not in 13 billion years." Maya managed a pained smile behind her helmet visor. "Then we'll be the first. Humanity's answer." The mental assault intensified, driving Maya to her knees. Around her, the rest of the away team had collapsed completely, their bodies still but their minds screaming. She could feel them somehow, their consciousness bleeding into hers as the collector tried to catalog them all at once. "Fascinating," the entity murmured through the pain. "Your neural architecture resists standardization. Most species can be completely mapped within minutes, but you humans, you're chaotic, unpredictable even to yourselves." Maya focused on that chaos, embracing the random thoughts and memories that flashed through her mind. Her childhood home in New Singapore. The day she was accepted to the Space Academy. Her first command. These fragments of identity anchored her against the entity's invasion. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," the collector continued. The others resisted at first as well, but they came to appreciate their preservation. Some have existed here for millions of years, safe while their homeworlds turned to dust. Through blurred vision, Maya saw that one of her team was beginning to rise. Dr. Novak was getting to her feet, but her movements were wrong. Too fluid, too precise. When she spoke, the voice was hers, but the cadence belonged to the collector. "Your biologist understands," the entity said through Lena's mouth. "She sees the value of my work, the necessity." Lena's body moved toward Maya with unnatural grace. "Think of all that would be lost without my intervention, Captain. Entire civilizations reduced to nothing but cosmic dust. I am the only memory that remains of 1,000 extinct species." Maya struggled to her feet, swaying as the pressure in her head mounted. Memory without freedom isn't preservation, it's torture. The possessed Lena tilted her head. "An interesting perspective. I will add it to my catalog." As they faced each other in the chamber of pods, Maya caught movement in her peripheral vision. Elias was conscious again, crawling silently toward one of the alien machinery clusters they passed. She needed to keep the entity distracted. "These civilizations," Maya said, gesturing toward the pods. "Did they all come willingly?" "They came as you did, answering a call. The details of their consent are irrelevant to their preservation." "Show me," Maya challenged. "Show me these civilizations you've saved." The chamber shifted around them. The pods rearranged themselves, forming a circular gallery. Within each, holographic displays activated, showing worlds and species Maya had never seen before. Beautiful, strange, utterly alien, yet all sharing the same fate. "That Hexerl," the collector narrated through Lena. "A crystalline hive mind that built cities spanning entire moons. Extinct after their sun went supernova." Another pod illuminated. The Tethka, gaseous entities that communicated through electromagnetic pulses. Their atmosphere was stripped away by a passing rogue planet. Pod after pod activated, each containing the last remnants of once great civilizations. Maya felt a genuine moment of awe and sorrow. "And what about them?" she asked, pointing to a cluster of pods set apart from the others. "What happened to their worlds?" A moment of silence followed. Then, "Their worlds still exist. They were simply too valuable to leave to chance." Maya's blood ran cold. "You didn't save them from extinction. You caused it." "I selected them," the collector corrected. "Some species develop unique traits that must be preserved before they are diluted through evolution or destroyed through their own technological advancement." While the entity spoke through Lena, Maya noticed Elias had reached the machinery. His movements were careful, deliberate. He was interfacing his translation device with the alien technology. Maya needed more time. "And humanity. What unique traits made us worth preserving?" "Your adaptability. Your emotional complexity. Most species react to threats with predictable patterns: fight or flight, aggression or submission. Humans layer your responses, creating solutions no other species would conceive." "Like this?" Maya asked, as she slammed her hand down on the quantum beacon a third time. "3 pulses. Destroy this place at all costs." The reaction was immediate. The chamber shuddered as if the entire structure felt the collector's rage. The possessed Lena's face contorted. "What have you done?" the entity demanded. "Given my ship the order to destroy this entire structure," Maya said, straightening despite the pain still lancing through her skull. "Humans don't just adapt, collector. We reject impossible situations. Your ship cannot penetrate this sphere," the entity said, but uncertainty had crept into its voice. "No weapon you possess." An explosion rocked the chamber as Elias activated something in the alien machinery. Warning lights flashed across the structure, and the mental pressure abruptly diminished. "That was the neural transmission network," Elias gasped, staggering toward Maya. "It's temporary, but—" "Move," Maya ordered, grabbing Lena's now unconscious form as the entity's control broke. Together with Elias, they dragged their teammates toward the exit. Behind them, the collector's true voice boomed through the chamber. "You cannot escape. This structure exists partially outside your dimension. They reached the corridor, the way back to their shuttle seemingly miles longer than when they'd arrived. Maya hit her comm. "Pathfinder, do you copy? We need immediate extraction." Static answered her, but through it came Kay's voice. "Positioning for impact. Get clear." "They're going to ram the sphere," Elias realized. "We'll never make it to the shuttle in time." Maya scanned the corridor ahead, mind racing through options. "The pods," she said suddenly. "The preservation pods. If they're designed to keep consciousness intact through anything, they might protect us through the impact." Elias finished. "But Captain, if we're wrong." "If we're wrong, we die trying," Maya said firmly. "Help me get everyone back to the main chamber." They dragged their unconscious teammates back into the pod room, where the collector's light column now pulsed erratically, its perfect rhythm disrupted by Elias's sabotage. "What are you doing?" the entity demanded as they approached the empty pods that had been prepared for them. "Taking a page from your book," Maya answered, helping lower Dias into one of the crystal containers. "Preserving ourselves." The collector's voice became frantic. "You don't understand the calibration required. The neural mapping." "We understand enough," Maya said, securing Wong and Lena in their pods before helping Elias into his. "Humans are good at improvising." The structure shook violently as something massive impacted the outer shell of the sphere. The Pathfinder had arrived. "This will destroy everything I've preserved." The collector raged. 13 billion years of history. Maya paused at the edge of her own pod. "No, just your prison." She reached out to the nearest cluster of control crystals, remembering how Elias had interfaced with them. "We're freeing them." With a single gesture, she activated the release protocol that Elias had discovered in the system. Across the chamber, pod after pod began to open, centuries of imprisoned consciousnesses suddenly finding release. The collector's light column flared blindingly bright. "What have you done?" "Given them a choice," Maya said, slipping into her pod as the chamber began to collapse around her. "Something you never did." The crystal closed around her just as the structure gave a final, shuddering groan. Through the transparent surface, Maya watched as the imprisoned consciousnesses rose from their pods, not as physical beings but as patterns of light, swirling together into a luminous storm that surrounded the collector's column. Then darkness claimed her. Maya awoke to the sterile white ceiling of the Pathfinder's medical bay. Commander Okafor stood at her bedside, looking down at her with a mixture of relief and disbelief. "How?" She managed to croak, her throat dry from disuse. "We found the pods floating in the debris field," Kai explained. "After we rammed the sphere, everything inside was exposed to space. Only the pods survived intact." He paused. "Everyone made it, Captain. It's being called a miracle back home." Maya closed her eyes, remembering the swirling consciousnesses. Not a miracle. A choice. 3 weeks later, when Maya was strong enough to stand on the observation deck again, she watched as the Pathfinder approached Earth. But it wasn't alone. An escort of alien vessels, designs never before encountered by humanity, flanked them in formation. On screens throughout the ship, messages poured in from across the galaxy. "The imprisoned are free. The collector is no more. Humanity has done what we feared to attempt." The Arcturians, who had warned them away from Sector 9, sent a formal diplomatic delegation. Their message was simple: "We were wrong about you." As the blue sphere of Earth grew larger in the viewport, Maya thought about the thousands of civilizations now restored. Consciousnesses freed from eternal collection, returning to whatever remained of their people, or finding new paths among the stars. The fear that had surrounded humanity, the concern about their unpredictability, their emotional responses, their tendency to rush in where more cautious species retreated, had transformed overnight into cautious respect. "Captain," Elias said, joining her at the viewport, "the Galactic Council has requested Earth's presence at their next assembly. First time in history a developing world has been invited." Maya nodded. "They want to understand us now." "Can they?" he asked. I'm not sure I understand us half the time." She smiled, watching as the first of the alien escort ships peeled away, flashing its lights in what could only be a salute. "That's what saved us in the end," she said quietly. "What the collector couldn't catalog. The thing that makes us human isn't a trait. It's that we can't be reduced to traits. We contain multitudes, contradictions, impossibilities. Beyond the viewport, Earth waited, a blue jewel unaware that its place in the cosmos had just been irrevocably changed. Humanity had answered a call from the void, and in doing so, made the stars themselves take notice. Not because they were the strongest or the wisest or the most advanced, but because when faced with the impossible, they chose to rewrite the rules. And the galaxy would never forget it.